Okay, we are live. Let's give it a few seconds for people to show up. Oh, I guess it's time for a stretchy stretch then. But yeah, let's give some time to people to show up, and then we'll start this. Okay. Unfortunately, Josie's not here today, so I don't know if everything's working right. So I will let people tell me if all is good, if everything is working as it should be. So I'll give it a couple seconds. So anybody that's on, anybody that's either on Instagram or on TikTok, give me a yay or nay to make sure that you guys can hear me. Um, Anybody on the stream, same thing. So just let me know if somebody can give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Worst case scenario, I am just going to go for it. So thumbs up, thumbs down. You know what? I'll just gotta go for it. As a human being, I have the natural right to make what I believe is the best choice for myself and my body. This is why I choose to eat well, to exercise, to grow my mind. I read, I meditate, and I'm extremely careful about who I let in my surroundings. Unfortunately, during the COVID pandemic, many of us got our rights taken away. Was it fear? Was it because we didn't want to lose our liberty? Was it indoctrination? Whatever the reason is, whatever the reason is, many of us got coerced into getting the shot. Now that the pandemic is a story of the past, I want to ask you this question. Looking back, was it worth it? Welcome to the Nico Lagan Show. I'm your host, Nico Lagan. And I don't want, okay, first know this. This is not about this podcast, this live is not about the vaccinate, like the vaccine itself. I'm not trying to debate, was it good, was it bad? I just want to use that as an example and highlight people's behavior. This is the whole point of this. And, you know, I don't want to say it amazes me, but I'm always very curious about this and how many people are ready to give their rights away just because they're scared or because they want to keep their liberties. And for the people that's listening to the MP3 alone, I'm air quoting here. And or just simple social pressure. There's a lot of reason why people will choose to give their rights away, and this is what I really want to talk about. And to me, the COVID pandemic was the perfect situation, or the perfect example to kind of show what happened, what people did. And I'm going to use myself as an example, what I did different than other people faced with the same situation. So I'm Canadian. Probably most of us know that. Oh boy, I'm Canadian. I would imagine that most of you guys know that. If not, well, I'm Canadian. And as per the stats are indicating in Canada, more than 83% of people got vaccinated with at least one shot. If we look at the US, very similar. We're talking about 81.4%. So let's call it the same. And if you look at the world's population, 72.5% of the world got vaccinated, which turns out to about 5.5 billion people, which that sounds like a lot when you consider that if I'm not mistaken, we're just under 9 or just under 8. So looking at the statistics, more than 72%, more than 81% in the US, and more than 82%, 83% in Canada. And countries like Canada and Australia literally took humans right away. Like, they took our rights as individual in order to enforce lockdowns, in order to change the laws, in order to put us in a situation where we lost our what they call privilege, but I call them natural rights. But the point of the matter is that we were in a situation where human rights were taken away. And this is what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with you um, taking the vaccine. This is a personal. This is 100% personal. This is up to you, and it's your decision. No problem. I have some of my best friends that actually did get the shot, and you know what? No problem. I do not care. What I don't like is having politicians and other people of the public forcing me, taking my rights away in order to try to convince me to do something that I do not want to do. This is problematic. It's not because that you and I are not agreeing on something that we need to take each other's rights away just to kind of prove a point. This is not okay. And this is what this episode is all about. This is what I want to talk about, is the freedom of choice. There is nothing more important to me than freedom of choice and freedom of speech. If you are limited in what you can say, freedom of speech does not exist. If people are capable of pushing their views on you and making you a sub citizen, if you will, because this is exactly how we were in Canada, you do not have freedom of choice. And considering the amount of people in North America that got vaccinated, I wanted to ask you this. So, anybody that's on the live right now, anybody that's on Instagram, anybody that's on TikTok, anybody that's listening to the podcast as a video, as a replay, I want you to tell me this. Why did you do it? If you are part of that worldwide 72.5% or that 83% in Canada or 81% in the US, why did you end up getting the shot? This is a simple question. I'm just trying to understand people's behavior, and I'm not trying to say who's right, who's wrong. This is up to the individual to take that decision, as in anything in fucking life, if you ask me. But I just want to know. So please leave me a comment. Let me know in the comments below why you guys did it or why you guys didn't do it. I'm just trying to understand what is the reasoning behind people's decision. I'll make it personal. I will talk about what I did, what my girlfriend did, the situation that we ended up in. And it's probably not a surprise that my girlfriend and I didn't get vaccinated, but everyone around us was. By the way, I just saw Connie, which is, I guess I'll call her my mother-in-law. I want to thank her. Like, I just saw that she joined the live. I'm not sure if she's still there or not, but I want to take the time to thank her, because no matter that my girlfriend and I didn't get vaccinated, it never changed the relationship between us and her and the family on my girlfriend's side. They were always respectful. They always understood that it was a personal choice the same way as we did, and it never impacted the relationship between us and them, in even me and her. So I see that she's still there. And Connie, thank you very much, because you always made me feel at home, no matter what my beliefs were when it came to the vaccine itself. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for my own family. That created a massive, that created a massive issue between, especially my mother and I. This is not something I'm happy about, but this is still a fact that we did not see eye to eye on this, and it caused issues between the two of us because we didn't see eye to eye. There were some things that she told me that I will keep personal, because it is between her and I, but at the same time, there were things that were said that were not okay. Like, those are the type of things that you cannot take back. And to me, you learn a lot from people on how they act when they're scared. If you're in a situation where you are worried, where you're anxious, where you're scared, it exposes what and who you truly are. It shows a lot about your personality, about the type of individual that you are in a situation of fear. And this is what I learned about a lot of the people around me, a lot of the people that I used to work with, a lot of the people in my family, is that faced with a situation of fear, they will stop being the person that they are, or they become the actual person that they are. So I guess it's all a matter of perspective. But the point is, a lot of relationships were broken during COVID, especially in Canada. I know in the US must have been the same. In Australia, I can't even imagine, because they were even worse. Like, Australia was probably one of the worst countries on the planet when it came to the restrictions that they took. But what I'm trying to say here is that instead of seeing this as a personal choice, a lot of people got segregated right down the middle and chose to push their values on other people, and even stop seeing people of their family, seeing their friends, seeing the people that they loved prior to this, just because of their beliefs, just because of their convictions. And this is what happened to myself, to my girlfriend, not as much, but mostly to myself. So again, Connie, thank you for being the person that you are. I'll always appreciate what you've done, and you have no idea what it meant to me. And you know, this is the part that was the hardest. I would say that ha- having a family that's not interested in seeing you because they don't believe in your in what you believe in is one thing, but the choices that my girlfriend and I made put us in a situation where we didn't have access to restaurants, we didn't have access to movie theaters, we didn't have a social life at all. So think about all of the things that you do on a daily basis. We couldn't do it anymore. The only places that her and I could go was grocery store, a corner store to put gas in the truck, basically, and pharmacies. Outside of that, I couldn't go anywhere. I'm a gym rat. I'm always at the gym. I've been at the gym for 21 years. I couldn't even go. Like, I had to build myself a gym in order to do it. I decided to move in the middle of nowhere because I did feel like I chose to move to my investment house, which is in the middle of nowhere, because we felt like I felt at the time that I was treated like a second class citizen, that I did not have the rights I was supposed to have. I did not have, those are not fucking privilege, those are rights, and I did not have them anymore. So yeah, we we decided to do what we felt was best for us, and this is what it comes down to. um I tell this to people all the time, that you can't choose the cards that you're dealt, but it is 100% on you to choose how to play them. We were all born to different families, to different people in different circumstances, and you can't change that, but you do have the power to play your cards just like they do in poker. A lot of people are very good at faking others. A lot of people are good of doing a lot with nothing. And this is my point. So, when I was facing those situations where I couldn't go anywhere anymore. Even my career, like, I was a sales engineer for a telecommunication company, which was one of the biggest companies in Canada. And I come from nothing. When it comes to that, I come from absolutely nothing. I did not have somebody help me um, get where I went, in a way where I had to work my ass off. Of course, I was given opportunities, but the point is that I dropped out of school. I was 15 years old. I went back in my 20s, got a high school equivalency, did a 1 year and a half as a computer technician, started my career as a customer, as answering the phone in a call center for a residential internet company. So I fucking fixed people's internet over the phone. This is how I started my career. Within 7 to 8 years, I was wearing a suit and I was in front of some of the biggest customers in Canada. I was selling high-end telecommunication companies to some of the biggest enterprises in Canada, some of the biggest government entities. I went from a call center to wearing a suit to working with a bunch of engineers. And I was basically the only guy in our team that was not an engineer. Everybody else was. So I worked my ass off to get there. But yet, during 2020 and 2021, I was told repeatedly that if I did not get the shot, I would lose my job. So they basically told me that if I did not do what the government was saying, what private that I would lose my livelihood. I would lose what I had been working on at that point for almost 20 years. And you know what? It's okay. Again, you do not choose the cards that you're dealt, but how you're going to play them, 100% on you. So what did I do? I did not sit on my ass and complain about all the shit that were happening. I decided to get rid of my place in the city and I moved out to the woods. I moved out a to the probably the most Canadian location that you can think of. I moved to a log house at the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, and I decided to work on me, to say, you know what? I can't control what's going on right now, but I can control my actions, I can control my reactions, and I can control how I feel about this. And this is exactly what I did. So I ended up spending 2.5 years in the woods working on my plans. I looked at the situation that I was faced with. I looked at the experience that I had, and I looked at the fact that I couldn't go anywhere, that I was not able, chances are I was going to lose my job. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? Look at all the transferable skills, as we call them. What is the experience that I have acquired over the years that would allow me to do something else that I can take from what I'm doing right now to move to a different setting? And you know what? I decided that I would start creating content. Like, if the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today is because of the pandemic. So, as much as it was a fucking shitty situation, as much as it put me in a situation where I did not have a lot to control, I can tell you that it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. As bad as this sounds, the COVID pandemic was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it put me in a corner where I had to make a choice. It put me into a corner where I had to make a choice. And a choice I did. So after analyzing my transferable skills, I decided I would start creating content. I started with a podcast, and now we're talking about almost 3.5 years later. I'm traveling the US in an RV with my girlfriend, and I'm running, like, right now, what you're seeing right here on the feed is the second bedroom of that RV that I transformed into a almost a recording studio. I have 224-inch screen right there. I have my laptop here. I have 5 cameras running right now. It's I've become a digital nomad, as they say. I've started different companies. I have multiple employees now that I manage. And this all came from deciding to stand up for my rights. I decided that I would not actually say or do what other people were saying. I decided to listen to my heart and to choose what I felt was best for me. And this gave me the opportunity to completely change my life. And my life is so fucking different now since I chose me. I chose to respect my values, and I chose to stand up for myself. And, you know, this is one of the reasons I live my life the way I do is because I refuse to have regrets. I do not want to be in a situation where I'm on my deathbed and all that I can think of is all the stuff that I shouldn't have done, that I should have done, but I decided not to do because I was scared to do it, or because people were telling me that I shouldn't be doing this, or I was living by other people's expectations. And one thing that is extremely clear when it comes to me is I am ready to lose everybody that's around me to follow my heart. If I know to be doing something that is true to myself, but the people around me don't believe in it, well, fuck you guys, you're out. I don't need you to do what I want to do. There is a reason why I was put on this earth, and I will go after what it is by myself if I have to. Because often chasing your personal legend, as I like to call it, or chasing your purpose, or going after your dreams, is a very lonely fucking place. You will end up walking that path alone a lot of the time. If you're lucky the way I am, you'll have a partner, as my girlfriend, that believes in what I do and that will believe in me as a person. But one of the things that this whole pandemic thing made me realize is people take decision out of fear. I knew that already, but this kind of put it back into context in a way where the numbers are right there. This is something that we can go back today, which I did this morning, and you can go back at looking at the numbers and analyzing what they mean. And remember what I said earlier, 83% of Canadians got at least one vaccine. 81% of American got at least one vaccine, and just over 72% of the world population got vaccinated. So the question that I was asking myself this morning is, how many people regret it? Because I know for a fact that a lot of the people around me that got vaccinated because they wanted to keep their liberties. They knew that if they didn't, they would be restricted like I was. They couldn't go anywhere. So they decided, you know what, I'm going to do it because I don't want to lose what I have, because of fear. Basically, most of the people that I know that took the shot was out of fear. So now that the pandemic is something of the past, that it's not really something that we deal with right now, I was wondering how many people regret it. And this is the question I ask for you guys too, people on the stream, people on Instagram, people on TikTok, people that are listening to the video later on. Let me know your comments. I want to know, If you guys got vaccinated, do you regret it? Because I can tell you one thing, I have not met one single person that was not vaccinated that regretted not getting vaccinated. So I'm really curious, if you got vaccinated, do you regret it or not? Looking back, looking at where we're at right now, do you regret it? Because in Australia, there was a study that was made on 45,000 people. They were asked that question: did they regret get vaccinated or not? And to put it into context, 97% of people above the age of 16 in Australia got vaccinated. And the number shows this. And we're talking about a study that we're talking about the question that was asked to more than 45,000 people. 35% of people would have done the exact same thing. So today, if they were put in a situation where, knowing what they know now, they would still get vaccinated. Now, that means that 65% of people regret getting vaccinated. And to me, that's fucked up. That's really fucked up. Almost twice as many people regret getting vaccinated compared to not getting vaccinated. And as I said before, I'm not judging anybody that got vaccinated, anybody that did not get vaccinated. That to me was a fucking personal choice. And I'm a proponent of freedom. I'm a proponent of freedom of choice and freedom of speech. These are two of the most important things that we have. And I believe in it to my core. But that being said, that's still a lot of people. And again, I ask you this: do you regret it? If you did, if you were one of the people that got vaccinated, do you regret it? Do you regret getting vaccinated? If you did not get vaccinated, do you regret not getting it, or was that the right decision? And would you do the same thing today if you had the choice? And I remember when I was in the middle of the woods by myself for a long time, and I was kind of, as I said, I was just working on me. I was just trying to build what I wanted to build, and I was looking. I don't tend to look at a lot of the news, at least not back then. I tend to. I had removed it from my life a lot. But the point is that I was seeing something that gave me hope. I was seeing something that was telling me that there might be people out there or places out there that still believe in people's choice and somebody taking a decision for themselves. And there's a good reason so many people moved to Florida during the pandemic. There's a lot of reasons what a lot of the blue states, as we like to call them, the people living in blue states ended up moving to red states because of the freedom of choice, because of the freedom that they had in those states. And Florida is the perfect example. Like I remember when, I remember when uh, DeSantis put a no vaccine mandate. He basically signed into law a bill, and the bill is 1B, saying that they would immediately prohibit any government entities and education institution from imposing mandatory workplace COVID-19 vaccines. That's great. I wish we would have had that in Canada. I wish this was something that we would have had. They put in place a no mandate or no mask mandate. So the public was not obligated to get vaccinated. The public was not obligated to get to wear masks, and the school didn't stay closed. So the schools remained closed, I think, for half of a school year, like the end of the school year in between 2019 and 2020. But they reopened them. They gave the choice to the parents to say, if you want your kids to have an education in person, the schools are open. But if you want your kids to stay home and learn remotely, no problem. You have that chance. You have that opportunity, because we will continue streaming them over the internet. Which, this is what it's all about. This is the whole point of this episode. This is the whole point of this podcast: the freedom of choice. If you wanted to get vaccinated, great, go for it. If you wanted to wear a mask, awesome, wear one. If you wanted to send your children to school, perfect, do it. If you wanted to do it remotely, phenomenal. You had that choice, and this is what it's all about. And one of the things I haven't thought about in a while now, because it seems so far, it seems so far away in my head, but I'm not somebody that likes, as much as a lot of the subjects that I speak about are very personal and very serious. I'm somebody that likes to fuck around a lot. I'm somebody that likes to laugh. I'm somebody that doesn't like to spread negativity. I like to point out facts, but I do not like to spread negativity. And during the lockdowns in Canada, I'm sure you heard about the truckers. I'm sure you heard about all the protests that was there. They were freaking massive. Like some of them were in the hundreds of thousands of people, and you know, I participated at basically every single one of them, but not in the way that you might believe. I did not participate in those protests in a negative way. I wanted to go, but I decided not to go there in the regular way where to just protest with signs and be against what was going on, because I did not find that this would bring something positive. Because if something is done in negativity, I'd rather not do it. I'd rather try to spin it in a way that it's positive, and this is exactly what I did. So instead of instead of going to protests and protesting, I ended up going to protests with a free hug sign. I was giving hugs to people. As weird as this sound, I know I don't look like the hugging type, but surprise, surprise, I am. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up going to all the protests, spreading love, spreading positivity, and interacting with the people. And I got it all on tape too. All on tape. Jesus Christ, that's showing my age right there. But I got it all recorded because I felt that this was something positive that I could do to help people. And, you know, it did help a lot of people. I did have a great, I had such great conversations with the people that were there, and it was positive. And this is what I wanted to do. This is what I was all about. Man, I remember that even at the beginning of COVID, my grandmother ended up going to the hospital. She was dying. She was in her 90s. So at that point, um, chances are, like at that point, you're gonna die pretty soon, right? So she was in the hospital. She wasn't doing like she had a severe case of dementia by that point, but you know, it was right at the beginning of COVID when everybody's flipping out, when everybody's scared, when everybody's wondering if we're going to have zombies, if we're going to have to wait with our shotguns in order to shoot people to defend ourselves and stuff. But, you know, it's right at that time where I just decided to go see her. She was in the hospital. I drove 2.5 hours, 3 hours to go see her. And that's just because I refuse to live in fear. This is why I moved to the woods and I decided to stand by my conviction of not getting vaccinated. Same thing as why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm on the road right now and I will continue to do so to probably for the rest of my life. Like we'll probably move from the US to South America or to Europe somewhere. We're not sure yet. But the point is that I refuse to live in fear. I refuse to let my fear dictate what I will and will not do. And I suggest that you do the same. This is the whole fucking point of this podcast, is to say that look at what happened during the COVID pandemic. Look at how many people acted on their fears and let that dictate their decision making process, and see it as a learning experience. See it as a way to say, no more. I will never do that again. I will not let my fear dictate my actions. I will dictate my action, even though I'm fucking scared. And that is what courage is all about. Courage is all about doing something that scares you, and especially doing it because you're scared. That's the definition. So, yeah, hopefully this makes sense to you. Hopefully this was a great example that can resonate with you, because you know, as I said multiple times, and I'm going to repeat it again, I believe in freedom. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in freedom of choice. And no matter what the consequence might be, I will always speak my truth. I will always say what I want to say. And I don't really give a fuck about the consequences because this is my freedom. So if you are a good man, if you are somebody that has values, stand up and do what's right. You'll never regret it. When you know that you need to do something, even though that it goes against popular, even though that it goes against popular belief, that it goes against the herd, do what you know to be right. Take the actions that you know you should be taking, and take them because they're hard. Don't let your fears dictate your decision process making. Just fucking do what you know to be right, and you'll never regret it. Because at the end of the day, nobody's here to save you. So if there's something that you want to do to better yourself, if there's something you know to be true, do it and you'll never regret it. On that note, it's Grateful Thursday, so I want to be grateful for every single one of you, every single person that interacts with my content, every single person that comments, that likes, that shares. Even if you don't like what I post but you're still commenting and interacting with it, I'm grateful. Thank you very much for what you do, and I will continue doing what I want to do, and I suggest you do the actual same. On that note, remember that the world is changed one man at a time, and it takes just one man to change the world. Peace out.